If you own a home services business, I'm going to show you the number one thing that you can do to get more leads, to turn those leads into paying customers, and ultimately make more money. In fact, this is the number one way to quickly grow your business. And yeah, I'm talking about Google reviews. If I could give my clients one gift, all of my clients, I've got hundreds of clients, if I give them all one gift, it would be the gift of 200 Google reviews a piece. And I'm going to tell you why that 200 number is so important to increasing your revenue in just a moment. But in this video, I'm going to share with you actionable tactics that you can actually use to get more Google reviews, get tons of Google reviews, and also how to use those reviews to make more money. I'm also going to show you what to do if you get a negative review. I'm going to show you how to get rid of the negative review. And let's say you can't get rid of the negative review. I'm going to show you how to use those negative reviews to actually make more money for your business. Now, before we get started, let's talk about that 200 review number. That's the magic threshold. And the reason I'm saying 200 reviews is because Bazaar Voice Network did a study, and they actually found that when any business gets 200 reviews or more, their revenue will increase by an average of 44%. That means that if you made $1 million last year and then you get 200 reviews this year, on average, you're going to make an extra $440,000 in revenue just because of the fact that you have those reviews. And the reason why is because reviews do several things for you. First of all, they help you rank higher in Google. I'm not sure if you knew that. If you have lots of reviews that have words, phrases, keywords, and synonyms that are related to your business, that's actually going to make you rank higher in the Google 3-pack. It's going to make you more relevant to what people are searching for. So I'm going to show you in a little bit how to actually get those words, phrases, keywords, and synonyms naturally inserted into your reviews, because you don't want to do it in a spammy way. Google's too smart for that. Now, the other way that it makes you more money is when you have more reviews, and those reviews are actually written in the way that I'm going to show you to get the reviews written in, is going to make you convert more customers. More people are going to trust that you can actually help them solve the problem that they have. So they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call you. And here's the thing, even if you have 1-star reviews, people are still going to read them. So if you have 1-star reviews and you can't get rid of the 1-star reviews, I'm going to show you how you can make those 1-star reviews actually make you more money, and how you can make it so that people see those 1-star reviews, but they don't kill you. They don't make it so that they don't want to call you. In fact, they make it so that they want to call you. So let's dive into the video. Now, the first question that most people have is, how many reviews do I actually need? Well, as I said, the 200 review number is a very good baseline, but the truth is it really depends on your market. You have to look at your market and how many reviews your competitors have, because something that we discovered a long time ago is that once you're in the Google 3-pack, and as long as you have 4.5 shaded stars, which most businesses have 4.5 shaded stars, it doesn't matter if you're a 4.2, a 4.3, a 4.7, a 4.9, it really doesn't matter. Once you have that visual cue, the next most important thing is quantity, because you have to remember, people don't know who you are. If they knew who your business was, they would just search for your business directly. But they're searching for a business like yours. Maybe they're searching for a roofer or a plumber or a cleaner or window washing, whatever you happen to do. And they go to Google and they search that keyword, and then they scroll down in the Google 3-pack, and then they just see a list of businesses, none of whom they've ever heard of. So if they all have the same rankings visually, the next thing people look at, because they want to find a way to categorize things, is they actually look at the quantity of reviews. They look at the number of reviews that each business has. And typically, what we see is the business that has the most reviews will normally get the phone call first. So that is how many reviews you need to get. You need to look and see in the Google 3-pack, how many reviews does the number one competitor in your area have, and you need to get more reviews than that. Now, that may be a big number. That may be an intimidating number, but the truth is that it doesn't matter. You just have to start getting reviews, and start getting reviews on a regular basis, and start using the tactics that I'm going to share with you in this video, and you'll start getting reviews very, very quickly. So let's talk about how to actually get reviews from your customers. The first step in getting reviews is to make it very, very easy for the customer. You have to remember, reviews take a lot of work, and there's nothing in it for the customer. So it takes effort, and a lot of times people will say that they're going to leave you a review, and they want to leave you a review, they intend to leave you a review, but then life gets in the way. They have to take the kids to soccer practice, and they're making dinner, and work happens, and they have to deal with homework and all this type of stuff. And they end up not leaving you a review because it's a lot of work. So you have to make sure that you make it as easy for them as possible. So that means that you don't just ask, hey, will you leave us a review? You actually have to do most of the work for them. You need to have something where in one click or one scan of a QR code, it takes them directly to where they need to enter the review. Now, this could be a text message that you send them after the job is done, or give them a business card that actually has a QR code on it. Now, this is something that's very, very important. Another reason that people don't leave reviews is because of writer's block. So like I said, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. When somebody has to think about what to say, then either what's going to happen is they're not going to write the review or they're going to write not a very good review. So I like giving prompts to the customers that will help them craft their reviews. So what I'll typically say is a lot of times people want to leave us a review, but they don't know what to say. So we have found that the most impactful reviews answer the following 5 questions. Question number 1, what was the problem that you had before you hired us? Question number 2, why did you pick us over all the competitors in the market? Question number 3, what did we do for you? Question number 4, what were the results or what was the outcome? And question number 5, how did these results impact your life? If you can give them those prompts and they answer questions based on those prompts, then what's going to happen is, first of all, you're going to get a better review. Second of all, they're more likely to actually leave the review because now they have an idea of what to say. And the third thing is that you're less likely to have the review deleted by Google because marketers know that reviews impact Google rankings. And the famous quote is, marketers ruin everything. So now Google cranked their spam filter way up, and you may have noticed that people leave you legitimate reviews and the reviews have gotten removed. Well, if you have reviews that tell stories and are written like this, you're much less likely to have them removed. And one other tip is that if you can have them submit a picture, that will make it much more likely that the review will stick as well. Now, those questions that I talked about, let's say you have a business card with a QR code that you give to all of your techs, and your techs hand them the business card so that they can scan the code. Well, you can put those questions right on the business card. That way they don't have to think about it. It's just right there and the instructions are right there. Now, in addition to making it easy for your customers so that they're more likely to leave a review, you also have to incentivize your technicians and your staff to actually want to get reviews in the first place. You have to make reviews part of your team culture. And one of the best things you can do is incentivize the technicians and incentivize your staff, incentivize everybody in your company to get reviews. And I know so many companies that have paid $25 per review, and this is wildly motivated because imagine that a tech goes on 3, 4, or 5 calls a day and they can get a review at every single one of those calls. Well, that could be an extra $100, extra $150 every single day that they're bringing in, and it actually makes a meaningful difference in their income. But even for you, it's a very, very worthwhile investment. It is the best investment that you will make because you're going to pay that $25 for that review one time, but you're going to end up getting the benefit of having those reviews over and over and over and over and over and over again for years and years and years. I've seen so many people that have invested in incentivizing their teams, and because of that, they have added 7 figures or more to their business simply because of the fact that they have so many reviews. So you want to make sure that your technicians have some sort of incentive so that they are actually going to be incentivized to get the reviews because this is an investment in your company. Now, one of the coolest things you can do is you can turn it into some sort of competition where the staff member that has the most reviews at the end of the month or the end of the quarter or whatever the period is gets some sort of bonus. Now, another thing you can do instead of just having a prize for the person who gets the most reviews is you can incentivize the entire company to work together to accomplish a goal. And then once that goal gets hit, everyone in the company gets some sort of prize, either a bonus or some sort of time off or something else. I know businesses that have taken their entire office staff to Cancun for a 3-day vacation just because of the fact that they got 200 Google reviews on their Google business profile. It's worth the investment and it's worth getting everybody bought in, especially once you start getting that phone ringing over and over and over and over and over again because you're appearing higher in Google and people are seeing you and they're seeing those great reviews and they're much more likely to call you because you're the one that they trust now. Okay, so here's some other ideas that you can arm the techs with and your staff so that they'll get more reviews and people will actually want to leave a review. People are more motivated and they're more likely to comply with the request if you actually give them a reason. So give them a reason that they need the review. I mean, it could even be as simple as, hey, listen, I'm trying to win a contest. Would you mind leaving me a review? Or they could say, listen, I get bonused on reviews, so I'd really appreciate it if you left me a review. Being honest is honestly a great answer, and people are much more likely to comply with the request if there is a reason. It doesn't have to be a great reason. It just has to be a reason. Now, another thing you can do that is going to make it much more likely that a customer is going to leave a review is to create some reciprocity. And the way that you do this is by doing something or giving something to them as almost like a gift before you ask for the review. And there's a few different things you can do. You could give them a pen. You could give them a coffee mug. You could give them anything that could be perceived as a gift that is going above and beyond that you didn't have to give them. Another thing that I love doing is I love inventing fees and then waiving fees as a favor before asking for the review. So for example, you could have the text say, hey, listen, I went ahead and I waived the materials fee because we didn't use that much, and I want to give you a little bit of a break on the invoice. Hey, by the way, would you mind leaving me a 5-star review? By doing that, that is triggering reciprocity. By giving them something or by doing something for them that you didn't have to do, that is triggering reciprocity. Reciprocity is ingrained in all of us. It basically is something where if you do something for me that's nice, I feel obligated to return the favor. If you invite me to your birthday party, I feel obligated to invite you to my birthday party. If you get me a Christmas present, then I'm going to feel obligated to get you a Christmas present. That's how reciprocity works. It's ingrained in all of us, and you can use this to get more reviews. It works really, really well. Now, one last tip is to try to get the tech and the staff member, whoever's actually asking for the review, try to get them to get the review right in that moment, because the more time that passes from the time you ask for the review until the time that they go to start the review, the less likely they are to actually leave the review. So if there's a way that you can ask for the review, specifically while the tech is still at their house or at their office or wherever it is, that's going to be the best time to leave the review. Because the more time that passes from the time you ask them to leave the review, the more likely they are to not leave the actual review. Now, let's talk about negative reviews. A lot of times people don't ask for reviews simply because they're afraid of getting a negative review. But the truth is that negative reviews don't hurt you. Negative reviews actually help you. There was a study recently, and researchers found that something like 80% of people don't trust reviews if there are only positive reviews. If there's no 1-star reviews, people don't trust the reviews. So you have to have a 1-star review to basically validate all the other 5-star reviews. Now, the thing that will kill you about a 1-star review is not the review itself. It's not responding to the review, because the truth is that most people are going to look at your reviews. They're going to see the 5 stars. They're going to look at the 1 stars. They're going to say, okay, what went wrong? So when someone leaves you a negative review, first of all, you should absolutely respond to that review, because no response is a response. Regardless of what the review says, you should always respond to the review. Now, I have a method that I call the tiers method when it comes to responding to the review. The first part of the tiers method is thank them for their feedback. So you want to say something like, thank you so much for providing your feedback. We value all feedback, both positive and negative. Now, here's the truth. Sometimes there's people that leave 1-star reviews for no reason, and they're just crazy. Maybe they weren't even customers, right? But other times, you'll get a 1-star review, and that 1-star review actually is like a legitimate issue that you need to look into as the business owner. And the cool thing is that the more 1-star reviews that you get that you take seriously and you look into and you fix the problem, the more 5-star reviews you're going to get. There's a book called Hug Your Haters, and the author in that book, Jay Baer, he says to get more 5-star reviews, you have to get more 1-star reviews. So look at the review, and if there actually is some legitimacy to the review, take it seriously, because there's also a statistic that only 1 in 20 people will complain publicly about a problem. So if somebody complains, maybe they say like, oh, the person that answered the phone was rude, or the tech, didn't take his shoes off and he got mud all over my house, right? If there's one person that has a legitimate complaint, odds are there's probably 19 other people that had that exact same thing happen to them. And instead of telling you about it, they just didn't say anything. And they went on and they probably told a friend or two, don't use this company because XYZ happened, right? So that's why I always say thank them. Thank them for their feedback, right? Now, the second thing is you want to empathize with their situation, and you want to apologize for their situation. Now, you don't want to apologize for the thing that they're accusing you of. You want to apologize for their frustration. So you could say something like, based on your review, it's very clear that you're frustrated with your experience with our business. And for that, I deeply apologize. Now, you're not apologizing and you're not admitting fault or anything like that. You're just apologizing that they're frustrated. That's fine. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Now, the next part in tiers is R and S, and that stands for offer a resolution, and the S stands for switch channels. So what you'll say is, I'd love to hop on a call and have a conversation with you about what happened, and hopefully we can find a solution that is amicable for both of us. Please give me a call at the office at any time at your phone number. Now, offering a resolution is great, and switching channels is even better because you don't want to get into a public debate. So what you want to do is you want to basically offer to solve the problem and come up with a resolution, but you're telling them to contact you at the office. Now, here's the truth. Most people are never going to contact you. And the truth of this is this response is not for the person that left the review. Yes, some of them will contact you, but the majority of them will never contact you. So this response is for the potential 10, 20, 50,000 people over the next 10 years that are going to see your reviews, and they're going to look at the one-star reviews, and they're not just going to look at the one-star review, but they're going to look at how did you handle that one-star review? How did you respond? What was your customer service like? And listen, you don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to call them an idiot. You don't want to call them a liar, even if they are. And the reason why is because just like in football, the flag always goes to the retaliation, right? So you are never going to look good by stooping to that level. You're going to look great if you take the high road and you take this type of approach. Now, here's how you can get rid of one-star reviews. And this works very, very, very well. And the reason it works so well is because it's like the most obvious thing you can do. Literally, if you know who the person is, just pick up the phone and call them and talk to them about what happened and figure out, okay, how can we resolve the situation, right? A lot of times people just want to be heard. And a lot of times you can get on the phone, you can have a conversation, especially if you're the owner of the company or if you're a high up manager or something like that. You can have a conversation with them. And most of the time, not only will you resolve that issue and get rid of the one-star review, but many, many times they'll actually turn it into a 5-star review. Because a lot of times our biggest advocates were once unsatisfied customers, right? Because if you can actually listen to them and you can show them that you're willing to solve the problem, then what's going to happen is they're now going to be an evangelist for your business. So go out there, use these tips, and get as many 5-star reviews for your business as possible. I promise you, your bottom line will thank you.